All right, welcome to Excel Class Hub. I'm going to be teaching economics for today, and my name is Mr. Smith. So our topic for today, as you can see on the board, is theory of demand and supply. It's a very important topic that if you are doing economics in JAMB, you have to understand or have an in-depth knowledge as far as this topic is concerned. So we are going to start from the definition or the meaning of demand. Now, demand can be defined as the quantity of goods and services a consumer is willing and able to buy for a particular price and at a particular period of time. I repeat, demand can be defined as the quantity of goods and services a consumer is willing and able to buy for a particular price and at a particular period of time. Now, when you look at that definition, you can see that it is related to time. So any concept that you use in economics, any laws, any theories or generalizations that is attributed to time, in economics it is called a flow. So it means that what? Demand is a flow. But oftentimes, they might not give you question on demand because JAMB understand that most of you know the meaning of demand. They can give you question on effective demand. Effective demand. So what's the difference between demand and effective demand? Effective demand is the demand for goods and services that is backed up by the ability and willingness to pay for goods and services. So when the demand for a good is backed up by one, the ability, then number two is willingness. Okay, then demand is said to be what? Effective. Now, what is ability? The ability here simply means money determination or money consideration. For you to have any goods, you need to have the money. Now, not only the money, you must also be willing to purchase that goods. So if I have the money to buy a what? A good, and I'm not willing as a consumer to buy that goods, then demand cannot be what? Effective. So these two must be juxtaposed for demand to be what? Effective. So from my explanation so far, you'll be able to what? Deduce that demand is different from what? Effective demand. Now that takes us to the law of demand. Law of demand. Now the first law of demand states that the higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity demanded, all things being equal. All things being equal here simply means that what? Every other factors that can make that law not to stand is being held constant. Don't forget that all the laws we use in economics, they are dynamic, they are not static. Unlike pure sciences like biology, physics, they will tell you that, oh, the formula for water is what? Is H2O. It has always been true. But in economics, it's a social science. So when you quote any law in economics, it is necessary you put the word all things being equal. The Latin maxim is what? Ceteris paribus. So law of demand simply means that what? The higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity demanded. Okay? Then we take you to what? What we call demand function. The next thing is demand function. Demand function. Now, what is demand function? Before we look at demand function, we are having a compound word here. We have demand, we have function. So we can't go to demand function without understanding what a function is. So what's a function? A function is a mathematical representation of variables. Mathematical representation of variables. So what is demand function now? So demand function simply means that what is the what? Mathematical representation of economic variables. Now in JAMB, they will normally give you questions, a function under linear. Of course, we have three types of function. We have linear function, we have quadratic, we have cubic or polynomial. But in the course of this study, we are going to be looking at what? Linear function, because that is where they are going to set your questions from. So your linear function takes this form. Y bar equals a plus bx bar. Okay, you can see question that they can tell you that, oh, the quantity demanded for a goods, we have QD equals 20 plus 2P. This is an example of a what? of a linear function. Now, what does this y, what does it represent? Your y stands for what? Dependent variable. Dependent variable. Okay? And your a is your what? Is your constant. You can call it your constant, you can call it your what? Intercept. Okay? Now, your b here stands for the slope. You can call it the slope or gradient. Okay? While your x bar stands for what? Independent variable. Independent variable. Now, let me use this demand function, linear demand function, to explain what I have written here. Now, assuming you are given a question, the question says, given the demand function Qg equals 20 plus 2Q and 2P, where P is equals to what? 20 naira. What is Qg? What you need to do is substitute the value of this 20 in the equation we are given. So we have Qg equals what? 20 plus 2. What is our P? Our P is 20. So you open bracket to put your 20. So we have 20 plus what? 40, which will give us what? 60. Now you can see that our QD is equals to 60. So this QD represents your Y, which is what? Dependent variable. So what it simply means is that the value of this Y depends on the value of X. You can see that your X is the what? Is the P. Okay, and your y is the what? Is the QD. So it means that as long as the value of your x is changing, the value of your y will also what? Change. And the b, which we are having before the value of what? X, you said is your what? Our slope or gradient. What does it mean? It simply means what? Change in x over change in y, or change in y over change in what? In x. So when you are giving question in your UTME, it is usually what? Under the linear function. So having said that, now we now go straight to what we call demand schedule. Demand schedule. Demand schedule. All right. We also look at demand curve. So what is demand schedule? Demand schedule is a table that shows the prices of goods and services and the quantity demanded at those prices. I repeat, demand schedule is a table that shows the quantity of goods and services and the prices of those goods and services. So we have two types of demand schedule. But before we go there, let me quickly draw an example of a demand schedule for us. Let's assume that we have price in dollars. Then we have our quantity demanded. Quantity demanded. Let's say our quantity demanded in kilogram. So our price, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here we have 100, 80, 60, 40, and 20. All right. So what we are seeing here is an example of demand schedule. Okay, it's showing the prices of this particular good and the quantity demanded at those prices. So when the price is $1, the quantity demanded is 100 kg. When it is $2, 80 kg. When it is $3, 60 kg. $4, 40 kg, and $5, 20 kg. So this demand schedule is an example of individual demand schedule. So we have two types of demand schedule. The types of demand schedule are, number one, individual demand schedule. Then number two, you have your market demand schedule. Okay, your individual demand schedule is showing the prices of commodities and quantity demanded of a single consumer. So let's assume that the consumer here is what? Is Bola. So this demand schedule is an example of what? Individual demand schedule. But when the table is showing the prices of commodities and quantity demanded of various consumers, let's say 2, 3, 4 consumers, it becomes a what? Market demand schedule. So a market demand schedule, you can also call it what? Total demand schedule, or you can also call it aggregate. You can also call it aggregate demand schedule, or sometimes you can see it as what? Composite demand schedule. Now, from demand schedule, we move to demand curve. What is demand curve? A demand curve is a graphic or diagrammatic representation of your demand schedule. I said it's a graphic. Demand curve is a graphic or diagrammatic representation of demand schedule. So what it simply means is that what you get your demand curve from your demand schedule. So your demand curve is just a replica of what you have what in your demand schedule. Now, from this individual demand schedule, I'm going to be drawing my demand curve. Okay, so when you are drawing any curve in economics, always take note that what your y-axis, as far as demand is concerned, contains your price, and your x-axis is your quantity demanded. Okay, your vertical line, that's where your price is going to be, and your horizontal line, you are going to have your what, your quantity demanded. So from this demand schedule, we want to draw our demand curve. Now here the price is in dollars. The price ranges from what? 1 to 5. So you start from here, the origin 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then the quantity demanded, you have 20 to 100. So you have 20, you have 40, you have 60, you have 80, then you have what? 100. Then the next thing is for us to what? Locate the origin. Now, when the price is $1, the quantity demanded is what? 100. So you locate. When the price is $2, quantity demanded is what? 80. When it is $3, quantity demanded is what? 60. When it is $4, quantity demanded is what? 40. And when it is $5, quantity demanded is what? Is 20. Now you can see that this is the demand curve of this demand schedule. Now, another area question can come out is this. What type of demand curve is this? It is a normal demand curve. Why is it a normal demand curve? It's a normal demand curve because it slopes downward from left to right. So any demand curve or any curve that slopes downward from left to right, as far as demand is concerned, it is what? A normal demand curve. Why is it a normal demand curve? Because it follows the first law of demand, which states that the higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity demanded. So you can see that from this demand schedule, as the price is increasing from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5, what happens to the quantity demanded? The quantity demanded keeps falling, keeps falling, keeps falling, and keeps falling. So that is why we have a what? A downward sloping demand curve. So a normal demand curve which slows down from left to right is usually what? Downward sloping. So this is our demand curve, and this is our what? Demand schedule. So having said that, we go straight to types of demand. Types of demand. We have 4 types of demand. I'm going to list them, then I explain. Types of demand. We have derived demand. Number 2, we have joint or complementary demand. Joint or complementary demand. Then number 3, we have competitive demand. Then number 4, we have composite demand. Okay, so these are the 4 areas that will test your knowledge as far as types of demand is concerned. So let's pick the first one, derived demand. Now, the demand for a good is derived when you are demanding for a good as a result of the availability of other commodities. Take for instance, you go to a filling station, you take a keg that you want to buy petrol. Now you are buying petrol as a result of what you want to use the petrol to do. If you want to build a house and you need the service of a bricklayer, you are demanding a bricklayer as a result of what you want to use the bricklayer to do. So an example of a derived demand is what? Is labor. In fact, all factors of production is derived. Then also the demand for money is also what? Derived. So the 2 areas that are going to test your knowledge under derived demand is what? The example they are going to give is what? Labor as well as what? Money. So you have to take note that what? The demand for labor is derived. The demand for money is also what? Derived. Then number 2, under types of demand is joint or complementary demand. Now, joint or complementary demand simply means when 2 or more goods are demanded at the same time to serve the same purpose. Take note of the word, to serve the same purpose. It's very important. So it doesn't mean that, oh, I go to the market, I buy like 5 different things or items, and they are all what? They are all joint. No. They are joint demand or complementary when 2 or more goods serve the same purpose. So let's take for instance that I go to the market and I bought a pen, book, and what? And shoe, a pair of shoe. Okay? Now, from these 3 items, pen, book, and shoe, we have only 2 that is joint or complementary here, and that is what? Pen and book. Is that clear? Shoe is not related to what? Pen and book. You are not using shoe with the book or the shoe with the pen, but you are using the pen and the book together. So we cannot automatically say that what? The demand for pen and book is what? Is derived. Let's take another example. You are hungry and you want to what? You want to eat. Now look at, oh, what am I going to eat? So, okay, I feel like taking bread. You now demanded for what? You now buy bread. What am I going to use to eat the bread? Okay, let me use butter. You now buy butter. Okay, so the bread and butter, they are what? Joint or complementary demand. Why? Because you are demanding the bread and butter to serve the same purpose. So that is what it meant by what? Joint or complementary demand. Then the next one is competitive demand. From the word competitive. Okay, so competitive demand is whereby 2 or more goods serve the same purpose. That means they can be used as a substitute. Okay, they can be used as a what? As a substitute. So if I'm demanding for good A, I have good A, I have good B. If I decide to go for good A and I did not see good A, I can simply go for good B, and good B will serve the same purpose as good A. Let's give an example. You want to take soft drink. You have what? You have Pepsi Cola, you have Coca-Cola, you have Biggie Cola. Okay, now these 3 soft drinks, they are all cola. So if I want to feel the taste of a cola, and assuming that the brand that I normally take is what? Is Pepsi, and I did not see Pepsi, I can simply go for Coca-Cola because it is still cola. Though the taste of Coca-Cola is different from Pepsi Cola, but both are still cola. So you can say they are competitive in nature. Why? Because Pepsi, Coke, or Biggie Cola, they serve as a what? As a close substitute. So they can be used in place of one another. So any 2 or more goods that you can use one in place of the other, they are said to be what? Competitive demand. Then the last one under types of demand is composite. In fact, you can also call it independent demand. Independent demand is whereby a good can serve different purpose. So any good at all that serve different purpose is a what? Falls under independent or composite demand. An example is flour. Okay, you can use flour to bake a donut, you can use it for cake, you can use it for chin-chin, and so on and so forth. So that same commodity or that same good serve different purpose. So it is said to be what? Composite demand. So after that, the next thing is we are looking at the factors influencing demand or factors affecting demand, or you can also call it determinants of demand. Okay, so factors affecting demand. Now, factors affecting demand. You have a number of factors affecting demand, but I'm going to list maybe, let's say, like 10. Number 1 is price of the commodity. Number 2 is price of other related commodities. Which could be what? Substitutes or complements. Number 3, change in technology. Number 4, change in consumers' income. 5, change in consumers' taste or preference. Consumers' taste or preference. Okay, you can also have a change in fashion. Okay, number 7, 8. You can also have what? Weather. or climatic conditions. You can have population. Then you can have number 9, taxation, as well as number 10, government policy. You know, I told you I'm going to be explaining just 10, even though we have more than that. So these are the factors affecting or influencing the demand for a good or service. Now let's pick it one after the other. The first one is price of the commodity. The first factor that will affect the demand for any commodity is the price. Take for instance, you go to, let's say you go to ShopRite and you walk through the shelves. You know, the price tag is already on each goods. You now look at a particular good. Oh, the price tag here is what? 5,000 naira. You like the goods. You now look at the amount you're having, either in your bank account or in your pocket. You can't afford it. What are you going to do? You can't get that particular goods, even though you like that goods. But for the fact that you don't have the amount to purchase it, you can't get it. So it simply means that what? The first factor that will affect the demand for any commodity is the price of the what? Commodity. Then number 2 is price of other related commodities. Other related commodities, we are talking of goods that are substitutes as well as goods that are what? Complements. Like I explained earlier, substitute goods are goods that can be used in place of one another. Okay? Example, Oral-B, toothpaste and what? And close-up. Another example, we have butter and margarine. Another example, we have fish and what? And meat. Another example, we have Milo and what? Bonvita, and so on and so forth. They are substitute goods. So let's take Coke and Pepsi as our case study under price of other related. How does the price of one commodity affect the demand of another commodity? Now presently, a bottle of Coke, the plastic is 500 naira, and a bottle of Pepsi also is what? 500 naira. Now if the price of Coke increase to like 800 naira, what do you think will happen to the demand for Coke? The demand for Coke will fall, because you have other brands that can be taken as a substitute of Coke. So the demand for Coke will fall. Why the what? The demand for its substitute like Biggie, like Pepsi will what? Will increase. Why? Because they are what? Substitute goods. Then number 2 are complementary goods. Like I explained earlier, that complementary goods are goods that are demanded at the same time to serve the same purpose. Okay? So number 3 is change in technology. Change in what? Technology. Now, you recall that the first set of television that was produced was black and white television. Is that not so? Now, when they invent color TV, what happened to black and white TV? People shift away from buying black and white TV and move to what? Color TV. As a result of what? Change in technology. So oftentimes, because human wants are insatiable, when there is a change in technology, people tend to what? To prefer the new what? The new technology than the old technology. And also, it's as a result of the fact that when a new technology is introduced, it renders the previous one obsolete. So change in technology can affect the demand for a what? For a good. Number 4 is change in consumers' income. Okay? Now, when the consumers' income increase, it affects the demand pattern of the consumer. Now, when there's an increase in the income of a consumer, what happens to the demand for inferior goods? The demand for inferior goods will what? Will fall. Why the demand for a normal good? Okay, in demand, you have 2 types of goods. You have inferior goods, you have a what? A normal goods, luxury goods, or super normal goods. So when the income of consumer increases, consumer will buy more of a normal good and buy less of inferior goods. So if the person has been buying, let's say, used clothes, the person will no longer be buying what? Used clothes. Will be buying brand new clothes. So change in consumers' income also affect the demand for a good. Then change in consumers' taste or preference. Of course, as individuals, we all have our what? Our preference for a particular good to another. You go to a party, they want to serve you drink. This one will say, give me Fanta. This one will say, give me Coke. This one will say, give me Pepsi. Another person can even say, give me trophy. Do you understand it now? So everybody has his own what? His own taste or preference. Then also change in fashion. Change in fashion also affect the demand for a commodity. Now, for somebody that wants to be selling clothes in a university area, If the person is selling things like lace and Ankara, you are going to have demand, but the demand for your good will be less compared to somebody that is selling what polo, tops, all those what English wears, because that particular environment comprises of what of students. So the students they buy more of English clothes than those what native clothes. Then number 7 is the weather or climatic conditions. Especially weather or climatic conditions affect agricultural produce. Then the population. The higher the population, the higher the quantity demanded. Then number 9 is taxation. How does tax affect the demand for a good? When government increase tax, automatically it is going to increase what cost of production. And when the cost of production is high, the price of the good will also be what? Will be high. That is why sometimes government will give what tax incentives. They will what? They will remove tax so as to make the cost of production low. And when the cost of production is low, the price of that good is going to be what? Low. And when the price is low, it's going to what? The demand for that good is going to what? Increase. But when the price of a good is high, the demand for it will what? Will fall. Then the last one is what? Government policy. Okay? We have a lot of policies that what? That affect the demand for a good. So these are the factors that what? That are affecting demand. All right. So we are going to be looking at abnormal demand. Abnormal demand is also known as exceptional demand. So you can see it as abnormal demand. You can see it as what? Exceptional demand. So what is abnormal demand? It's a demand pattern that does not follow the first law of demand. You recall that while I was giving you the first law of demand, I said the first law of demand states that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. So if the price of a good is high and the demand for such good also increase, it means that what? You are going to have what you call abnormal or exceptional demand. So what are the reasons for abnormal demand? What are the reasons for abnormal demand? Number 1, you have inferior or differing goods. Inferior or differing goods. Number 2, you have articles of ostentation. Articles of ostentation. Number 3, you have future expectation of price. Future expectation of price. The price can either be increased or decreased. Then number 4, you have rare commodities. Rare commodities. Okay, now what are inferior goods? Inferior goods or differing goods, they are goods whose demand falls as the income of consumer increases, or the demand increases as the income of consumer falls. So you call them what? Articles of necessity. Articles of necessity. Articles of necessity in the sense that you are buying those goods because you don't have choice. You don't have the capacity to buy more quality or standard goods. Okay? Then articles of ostentation. It means what? They are goods of prestige. Goods that boost, or commodities that boost the consumer's ego. Like luxury items, gold jewelries, gold chain, luxury cars, diamond chain, all those things. They are what? They are commodities that boost the consumer's ego. So even though the price of those goods is high, you will still see people what? Buying those goods. Number 3 is future expectation of price. Especially goods that are what? That are perfectly elastic. We are still going to look at elasticity of demand, so you understand better what you mean by what? Perfectly elastic goods. So future expectation of price. When consumers perceive that the price of a good is going to high and that good is perfectly elastic, they are what? They are ready to buy more of it now, even though the price what? Increases. Then number 4 is rare commodity. Something that is rare means something that is scarce. Okay? And scarcity increases the value of what? Of goods. So when a commodity is scarce, like diamond, like gold, why is it costly? It is costly because what? It is scarce. So even though it is what? It is costly, people still buy them. So it is going to make your what? Your demand curve to be abnormal. So the 4 reasons for abnormal demand are, in number 1 is inferior or differing goods. Number 2 is articles of ostentation. Number 3 is future expectation of price, either increase or decrease, as well as what? Rare commodities. That means what? Goods that are scarce. So having said that, we're now going to look at supply. Or before we go to supply, let's quickly look at what? Elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand. elasticity of demand. Okay, now elasticity of demand simply means how consumers respond, the degree of responsiveness of demand to a change in price, number one, to a change in income, two, and to a change in price of substitute. So you can simply say elasticity of demand simply means what? The degree of responsiveness of demand to a change in price, income, or price of substitutes. So what are the types of elasticity of demand? We have three types. Number one, we have the price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand. Number two, we have the income elasticity of demand. And number three, we have the cross elasticity of what? Of demand. So these are the three types of elasticity of demand. So we are going to look at it one after the other. Now, price elasticity of demand simply means the degree of responsiveness of consumers to a change in price. So when there's a change in price of a good, how do you react? Do you buy more of that goods as a consumer? Do you buy less of that? It depends on the consumer's preference. Do you understand it now? So there are some goods that when the price increase, some certain consumer, they buy more of it. Some, they buy less of it. So it depends on the what? On the individual consumer. Okay, so price elasticity of demand simply means what? How consumers react when there's a change in price. So you have types of price elasticity of demand. Types of price elasticity of what? Demand. Types of price elasticity of demand. Number one, we have elastic or fairly elastic demand. Number two, you have inelastic or fairly inelastic demand. Number three, you have unitary or unity elastic demand. Number four, you have perfectly inelastic or zero elastic demand. Then number five, you have perfectly elastic or infinitely what? Elastic demand. Now you must take these types of elasticity of demand seriously. A lot of students have challenge when it comes to what? Elasticity of demand. So I'm going to explain it to you in the way you are going to understand practical terms. Now you already know that elasticity of demand is the degree of responsiveness of consumer to a change in price, income, or price of substitute. Now, what is elastic demand? Demand is elastic if a percentage change in price brings about more than proportionate change in quantity demanded. Okay, so let me use a case study of let's say Coca-Cola. Now during the time of Jonathan, we do buy Coke for let's say 350, but let me just peg it at what? 400 naira. And now we buy Coke, a plastic Coke for what? 500 naira. Now, assuming you are now asked that what is the percentage change in price of Coke during the time of Jonathan and the time of Tinubu that we are presently, how do you calculate it? It's very simple. Now, presently we buy Coke at 500 naira. That will be what? New price, which is 500 naira, minus the price during Jonathan era is what? 400, divided by the old price, which is 400 times what? 100 over 1. Okay, so this will give us what? This will give us 100 over 400 times what? Times 100. So this will cancel this. Okay, then we have 100 divided by 4. So this will give us what? 25%. So it means that during the period of Jonathan and the present era that we have, there has been a what? A 25% increase in the price of Coke. So now, let's assume that as a result of this 25% increase, it now leads to what? 35% change in quantity demanded. Then we say the demand for what? The demand for Coke is what? Elastic. Why? Because the percentage change in quantity demanded is more than the percentage change in price. We are having a 25% change in price. And as a result of that, it leads to 35% change in quantity demanded. Then the demand for that good is what? Elastic. But if as a result of 25% change in price, the quantity demanded, the percentage change in quantity demanded falls to what? 15%. Then we said such demand is what? Inelastic. Okay, so an inelastic demand is whereby what? A percentage change in price leads to less than proportional change in quantity demanded. So we are having a 25% change in price and we are having a 15% change in quantity demanded. This is less than this. Demand for the good is what? Inelastic. Then unitary. Unitary elastic demand is whereby what? A percentage change in price brings about equal percentage change in quantity demanded. So we are having a 25% change in price, and let's say the quantity demanded also changed by what? 25%. So we are going to have 25 over 25, which is what? 1. So it means that the demand for the good is what? Unitary. Why? Because the percentage change in price is equal to the percentage change in quantity demanded. Then number 4 is perfectly inelastic or zero elastic. A good that is perfectly inelastic, irrespective of the change in price, the consumer still go about and buy the normal quantity. So they will give you a diagram like this. You have something like this. This is demand. E is equals to 0. Okay, they can tell you the diagram above or the diagram below represents dash. Then they will now give you the option. Your answer here will be what? Perfectly inelastic demand or zero elastic demand. Why? Because irrespective of the change in price, let's say we have P0, P1, P2, P3. The quantity demanded still what? Remain the same. So the demand for the good is perfectly inelastic. Then the last one is perfectly elastic. A perfectly elastic demand, any good that is perfectly elastic, when there is a slight change in the price, consumers are ready to buy all. So our elasticity of demand is equals to what? Infinity. So this diagram is a diagram for what? Perfectly inelastic demand, while this is the diagram of what? Perfectly elastic demand. Then it's also important that you know the coefficient of each of the what? Of each of the types of price elasticity. Okay, so when your elasticity of demand is equals to what? Is greater than 1, the demand is elastic. Take note of that. When your elasticity of demand is less than 1, demand is what? Inelastic. When elasticity of demand is equal to 1, the demand for that good is what? Unitary. When elasticity of demand is equal to 0, the demand for that good is perfectly inelastic. And lastly, when elasticity of demand is equal to what? Infinity. This is the symbol for infinity. Then demand is what? Perfectly elastic. So these coefficients are very important, especially when you are doing calculation in price elasticity of demand. Okay, let's assume that you are given a question and the answer you arrive at is what? Is 0.0.3. They now ask you, interpret your answer, or what type of good is it? Your answer will be what? Inelastic. Why is it inelastic? Because the coefficient is what? Is less than 1. Okay, so that is that about price elasticity of demand. So we are now going to be solving past questions now. Let's look at 1 or 2 questions and do justice to them. So you can. All right. We have 5 questions here that we are going to do justice to. The first question: if P equals 1 over 2, open bracket, QS plus 15, what is the quantity supplied at 9 naira? Now this question, what you are given is your price function. Solution: P equals 1 over 2 into bracket QS plus what? 15. Close your bracket. And we are told that what? Our P is equals to 9 naira. So what do? You substitute the value of P in the equation. So where you see P, you replace it with what? 9 naira. So we have 9 equals 1 over 2, open bracket, QS plus 15. So we have 9 equals to 1, we multiply everything here. So 1 times QS, we have QS, plus 1 times 15, we have 15, all over what? All over 2. So we cross multiply. We have 9 times 2 equals QS plus 15. 9 times 2 will give us 18 equals QS plus what? 15. Don't forget, we are asked to look for what? QS, quantity supplied at 9 naira. So our QS will now be what? 18 minus 15. So QS is equals to what? Is equals to 3. So our quantity supplied is what? Is 3 units. Okay, so let's go to question 2. If the price of an item changes by 8% and quantity supplied changes from 600 units to 660 units, the price elasticity of supply is, first and foremost, the formula for price elasticity of supply is what? Percentage change in quantity supplied, percentage change in quantity supplied all over percentage change in price. Now, in this question, we have been given the percentage change in price to be 8%. So we don't need to calculate percentage change in price. What we need to calculate is percentage change in quantity supplied. So our percentage change in quantity supplied, our percentage change in quantity supplied is new quantity supplied minus old quantity supplied all over old quantity supplied times what? Times 100. So we come to the question. It said the quantity supply changes from 600 units to 660 units. So it means the new quantity supplied is 660 units minus the old, which is what? 600 all over old, which is what? 600 times 100. 660 minus 600 will give us what? 60 over 600 times 100. So this we cancel this. Automatically we have what? 60 divided by what? 6. 60 divided by 6, which will give us what? Will give us 10%. This is not the final answer. Now the question now say, what is the what? The price elasticity of our supply. So now going by this formula, percentage change in quantity supplied, we were not given in the question. Now we've solved it out to be what? 10%. So we write 10% all over percentage change in price. We are given the percentage change in price to be what? 8% all over what? 8%. So percentage, you cancel what? Percentage. What do we have? We have 10 over 8. So 10 divided by 8 will give us what? 0.8. So that is our what? Our answer for number 2 questions. Now we go straight to number 3. We are given a table, price in naira, quantity supplied. We have 8, 10, we have 20, 24. What are we asked to calculate? We are asked to calculate it. Price elasticity of what? Supplied. Now, price elasticity of supply, we still use the same formula, which is percentage change in quantity supplied all over what? Percentage change in price. So, our quantity supplied, this is the new price, this is the old price. I mean, this is the new quantity supplied, this is the old quantity supplied, while this is the new price, while this is the old price. So, let's start from percentage change in quantity supplied. New minus old. The new is 24. That will be 24 minus old, which is what? 20 all over old, which is 20 times what? 100 all over percentage change in price. New minus old, which is what? 10 minus 8 all over what? 8 times what? 100. So 24 minus 20 will give us what? 4 over 20 times what? 100. In fact, I can cancel it direct. Let this 100 cancel this what? 100. So we have 24 minus 20. We have what? 4 over 20 all over what? 10 minus 8 is what? 2 over what? 2 over 8. So 4 year 1, 4 in 20 is what? 5. 2 year 1, 2 year 1 is what? Is 4. Is that not so? So we have what? 1 over 5 divided by what? 1 over 4. So we can have it to be what? 1 over 5. Division will change to what? Multiplication. Now, when division is changing to multiplication, the denominator becomes the numerator, while the numerator becomes the denominator. So 4 comes here, we have 4 over what? 4 over 1. So what do we have? We have 4 divided by 5. So 4 divided by 5, you are not going to leave your answer in fraction. Your answer must be in what? Decimal. So you have 4 divided by 5 will give us what? Our final answer is 0.8. So the price elasticity of supply is what? 0.8. So let's look at question 4. Question 4. Given demand 20 minus 1 over 2p, supply 8 plus 1 over 4p, what is the equilibrium price and quantity? Okay, let's do justice to that. We are asked to calculate the equilibrium price and quantity. Now, take note that equilibrium simply means where the demand meets the supply. That is where the demand curve intersects the supply curve. So you say at equilibrium, our demand is equals to what? Supply. So what do? You bring out your demand function that you are given. Our demand function is what? 20 minus 1 over 2p equals to our supply. You bring out your supply function, 8 plus 1 over 4p. 8 plus 1 over 4p. So what do? You solve mathematically. Okay? You have 20. 8, you bring it down here, becomes what? Minus 8. Equals to, here you have 1 over 4p. In fact, 1 over 4p is the same thing as what? P over 4. Then minus 1 over 2p. You bring it down here, it becomes what? Plus p over what? P over 2. 20 minus 8 will give us what? 12. Equals to, now we are having a fraction, p over 4 plus p over 2. We can't add it direct. Why? Because the denominator are not the same. So you have to make the denominator to be the same for you to be add or subtract. So how do we make it to be the same? By looking for the LCM of what? 4 and 2. So the LCM of 4 and 2 is what? Is 4. We put it down, that's the LCM. 4 in 4 is 1. 1 times p will give you what? P. You don't need to write it as 1p. Okay? Plus 2 in 4 is what? 2. 2 times p will give us what? 2p. Okay, what do? We cross multiply. So we have 12 times 4 equals p plus what? Plus 2p. Now 12 times 4 will give us what? Will give us 48 equals p plus what? 2p. 2p. So, okay, 48p plus 2p. So we have 48 equals to p plus 2p will give us what? 3p. P plus 2p will give us what? 3p. So what do? You divide both sides by the coefficient of what? P. Divide both sides by what? By 3, which is the coefficient of p. So we have 48 over 3 equals what? 3p over what? 3. So 3 will cancel 3. So we have p equals to 48 divided by 3 will give us what? 48 divided by 3 will give us 16. So our P, equilibrium price, is equals to what? 16 naira. Don't forget, the question says, what is the equilibrium price and quantity? So what we have gotten here is the what? Equilibrium price, which is what? 16 naira. So we still need to get our equilibrium quantity. Now, how do you get your equilibrium quantity? Once you have gotten the answer for equilibrium price, you just substitute the value in your demand function or your supply function. So I can choose to use our demand function. So our demand function given in the question is what? 20 minus 1 over 2p. So wherever you see p now, you represent it with what? 16. So we have 20 minus 1 over 2p, which will now be what? Into bracket 16. That will be 20 minus 2 here 1, 2 here what? 8. That's 20 minus 8. So 20 minus 8 will give us what? 12 units. So our equilibrium price is what? 16 naira, and our equilibrium quantity is what? 12 units. If you substitute this value in your supply function, you are still going to get what? 12 units. Okay? Then the last question. Given supply function P equals 1 over 4 into bracket QS plus 10. When P equals 10, what is what? QS. What is QS? So we are given our price function. So wherever you see P, represent it with what? With 10. Okay, let me write the price function at P equals 1 over 4 QS plus 10. So we are told that our P is equals to 10. So we have 10 equals 1 over 4 into bracket QS plus what? Plus 10. So we have 10 equals to 1 times QS will give us QS plus 1 times 10 will give us 10. All over what? 4. You cross multiply. If you cross multiply, we have 10 times 4 equals QS plus what? 10. 10 times 4 will give us what? 40 equals what? QS plus 10. What are we looking for? QS. So you bring your QS here equals what? 40 minus what? 40 minus 10. So final answer, QS is equals to what? 30 units. So that is the end of the question. Thank you.